Okay, so this is going to be a very interesting topic. What are some questions that one could ask a suspected narcissist in order to determine whether he or she is able to see people in a stable and integrated, realistic way? Narcissist is short for narcissistic personality disorder. By definition, somebody who qualifies for that diagnosis sees people in a split way, special on one hand, worthless on the other, depending on their mood. This means that they cannot see themselves or anyone else in a stable, integrated, and realistic way. If this person has not been formally diagnosed, and you are simply observing what you take to be narcissistic traits, which a lot of us do, then the following types of questions might help you determine whether he or she has whole object relations. Whole object relations is the formal psychology term for the capacity to integrate good and bad, liked and disliked traits of someone into a coherent, realistic, and stable picture. People who are diagnosed with cluster B personality disorders, such as narcissistic personality, borderline personality, histrionic personality, and the list goes on, they flip back and forth from seeing people as all good when they are happy with this person and they are usually doing what they want this person to do, and then all bad when they are not. So here are the questions. Here are some sample questions that could help you make this determination, a very important determination. They are sometimes a bit hard, I will say, to work into a casual conversation, but they can give you a basic idea. And they do involve encouraging the narcissistic person to talk about their views about people they either like or dislike. If the person can see both sides simultaneously, then they probably don't have a personality disorder. If they cannot integrate both the good and bad into a single, stable, realistic picture of that person, then they are likely to qualify for a personality disorder diagnosis. But that alone does not tell you if the person has a cluster B personality disorder. They could be borderline, or they could have a schizoid, or what, a histrionic personality and not narcissistic, or they could be comorbid. So about their exes, this is the next question. Someone you are with, they start talking about their exes in a very critical way. Not necessarily very critical, but there's a critical tone to the conversation. So you could turn it and ask, the way that you are describing your ex, it makes them sound truly terrible. Does your ex have any good qualities? You must have chosen to be with your ex for a reason in the beginning. If they cannot name any good qualities, then it's a good bet that they lack whole object relations and see people unrealistically as either all good or all bad. If they feel offended by your question and then they act cold or angry towards you, that is also a huge answer, and now you are all bad. Okay, another question you can ask. Do you think that you saw your ex accurately when you fell in love with your ex? Do you think that he or she changed later on in the relationship, or did you just not realize then what they are really like? And if they do not admit that they saw some warning signs but went ahead anyway, they may not be willing to take responsibility for ever being wrong about anything, or they are just incredibly unobservant. So we are going to move on to questions about family. Okay, so your date is complaining about his or her parents. Question: I hear what you do not like about your parents. I am wondering if they have any qualities that you admire. I hope that they weren't all bad for your sake. And if this alleged narcissist cannot come up with even one single good trait or accomplishment, that is usually a bad sign. Even the worst people in the world have some areas of talent. Another question. Tell me about your parents. What are they like? If this person says, my mother is a saint, they could be splitting. Very few of us are actually saints. And when I hear someone in my coaching sessions describe their ex-partner or mother or whoever like that, it usually predicts some long therapy. So if the same thing is true. If they describe their mother or father as monsters without any redeeming qualities whatsoever, of course, some of my clients, they were terribly abused by their parents. And if the term fits the facts, I would not necessarily see this as splitting. So here we move on to another question. Does your family hold grudges? Do people make up after fights, or are they cut out of of other people's lives forever? Do they cut people off forever? People tend to be very, very influenced by family culture, and in some families, splitting is absolutely the norm. If there is a serious rift or a fight, there is no way to repair and move on. They just stop talking to each other. If your new lover or friend grew up in that environment, they had no model of people repairing relationships. The whole family lacked whole object relations. Unless this person has gone to intense psychotherapy or is quite different from his or her family, he or she is likely to repeat this pattern with you. So, in closing, it is important to not use the word narcissist casually. If a person is truly narcissistic, they have narcissistic personality disorder. If they have NPD or any other personality disorder, they cannot see themselves or other people in a realistic and integrated way.